everyone, it's Friginne, and I am here today with a surprise video. A surprise both to you and to me because I am homesick and was not planning to do a video this week, but I figured, hey, why not? I've got the time now, so why not do a bit of a throwback to something I said I was going to do and do a let's build. As a matter of fact, today we are going to be doing one that I don't know if anyone's been asking for, but my own Bionicle self-mock or self-insert character, Saril. If you'd like to build along, I'm going to have all the parts on the screen right now so you can go ahead and find those. I will admit, a few of these have been painted because I am very stubborn about them being in the colors I want, and am not willing to wait for them to be officially released. So I just went ahead and did it myself. So go ahead, pause the video, grab all the parts you need. If you need to paint stuff, go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and get building. All right, time to bust apart this beautifully placed selection of pieces because I normally don't build like this, sorting everything out. I just kind of have it all in a pile and go. I'm very much used to the dump out the bucket of parts and start building approach versus sorting and organizing all neatly and such. Perhaps this is a habit I picked up in my days as a young child. Popping open a can of fresh Bionicle and building it in the backseat of the car on the way home from the toy store. I was very eager and always had them done by the time we got home. So one really interesting thing with this mock is that this is the first one that I ever designed originally completely in a digital designer. I built this in Stod.io, and afterwards went ahead, got all the parts I didn't have already, and built it for real. I was at this for a very, very long time, both the design process and getting all the parts I needed. Speaking of parts, I'm going to leave that there for a sec so you can have a look while I grab the next little bit. I apologize, I don't have formal instructions for this yet, but you can just pause the video as I'm going. Oh my gosh, I nearly spilled my water. Oh my gosh. I'm going to give myself a heart attack. Stay hydrated, folks. What was I saying? Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry I don't have formal instructions for this, but you can just pause them going, and hopefully that should give you an idea as to the construction of this model. And very unconventional this model is, as I've always been a fan of combining together CCBS and traditional Bionicle and Technic and system all into one perfect mix of Lego parts of all varieties. I do not discriminate. All are welcome here, and I find that that is the best way to get the shapes and the looks you're looking for while having an interesting mix. So I know this looks very system-y right now, but rest assured, it's going to end up looking very Bionicle by the time we're done. But in a unique way that you don't typically get out of official sets. Anyhow, yes, this is the first time I'd ever built anything in Stud.io that I had any serious intention of building IRL. It took a very long time, and so this is very near and dear to my heart, especially since, you know, the concept of the self-mock is unique kind of in Bionicle among all of the Lego themes, just insofar as Bionicle always had a very rich lore and world to it. And that is something that you don't see as much of in other Lego themes, at least as far as designing your own character goes. So this is very personal to me, you know? The extra axle is just for support. And of course the back gear. It does nothing, but it looks cool. And honestly, I like the tradition of Bionicles having a big gear on their back, even if it serves no functional purpose. It's a sort of an icon of the early part of the series. And aesthetically, I just like it. Very much plays into the biomechanical part of biomechanical. Get on there. But anyhow, yes, this is very much my own unique spin on classic Bionicle mock. And very, very unconventional as opposed to pretty much all the designs out there that you typically see. There's going to be extra joints in the shoulders and the waist. It's a bit larger than you see with typical Toa mocks. And a very unique design as compared to something, say, like Mata or Metru or Anika builds. And while I wasn't intending this one to be as large as it was, it kind of works out that way just because I had already drawn artwork of this and wanted my mock to be as close to that as I could possibly get it. That was another part of the challenge of designing this was I'd already drawn out what it was supposed to look like, and trying to make that happen with actual brick was difficult unless I scaled it up. So yes, this is significantly larger than most Toa mocks you typically see, but I think she came out great. This is where the Bionicle and the system start meshing up. This just plugs right into the chest there, but there's a very even fit and they kind of flow into each other. So the upper torso block is done. It's time to move on to the waist and hips. It's always sad they never made more of those in different colors of parts, just besides the few that were available. Alas, that came out in the time of the end of Bionicle, 2009, a little bit in 2010 maybe. There we go. I think it'd be easier for me to find these, seeing how I've color-coded these parts in advance, but I am just dumb like that, so... So like I mentioned before, this is my self-mock, which just means my own self-insert character into Bionicle. This is a pretty standard staple of the fandom at this point. You see this sort of thing all the time. How does... Yes, there we go. Okay. You go there. That. And this goes on here. I had a heck of a time finding this thing because unfortunately I designed this immediately after the Helrix contest had ended, and since Helrix takes 2 of these, they were suddenly in very high demand for a very rare part. I just needed the one, and there we go. The complete torso is done. Onto the legs. What was I saying? Yes, self-mock. That's very normal in the Bionicle community. You know, all of these stories in this fantastic built-up world, you kind of want to be a part of it. So you create your own character to allow you to participate. Obviously non-canon, but still a lot of fun. Just imagine, oh yeah, what would it be like if I could be part of this adventure and this journey and this story? I'm not going to go heavy on my own head-canon-y personal lore for this character, but In very, 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 very quick basic summary, Saril is a Toa of water. Not the greatest fighter, but pretty good with healing with water abilities, sort of like Gallinuva. She's got a rad fishing spear and wears a Kanoe Kakama, one in a unique design that's more suited for the water, which I will show you all at the very end, the big finale. That mask is very dear to my heart. It was a commission that I worked with Toa. I've done a couple commissions with him in the past. His work is incredible, designing with models and putting them out on shapeways. So for me to get from a 2D drawn design concept for a Kanoe mask to holding the 3D rendered physical object in my hands is truly incredible. Here we go. This is fun. Right here at the ankle, it's got one of these clicky joints instead of a normal ball joint. And while that slightly limits movement for posability, I haven't found it's made any significant difference and hasn't gotten in my way, so. Once again, that fusion of CCBS and Bionicle and system all together in one cohesive unit. And with just a little bit of technique, you can easily bridge the gap back and forth. A lot of this was done for the purposes of space management as well. I wanted her to have all the parts that she did in all the places that they needed to be in. I had to figure out ways to connect them together by any means necessary. And typically, this is how I came across it. This one's kind of fun. You actually have to build it upside down because the perfect curved slope piece I found for the foot was upside down. So I had to figure out how to make this all come together. Ultimately did, and I'm really happy with how it looks. Normally you wouldn't see part of this as something very Bionicle, but once you see it all fitting together, hold on. Oh my goodness, I put that on backwards. There we go. That's better. Leave that for a sec so you don't have another word. So here's the leg minus the shin guard. And I'm going to go ahead and build the second one because on this model in particular, the legs are actually perfectly symmetrical. Or not symmetrical, they're actually identical. There's no left-right differences. It doesn't actually matter which one goes where. Didn't plan that on purpose, but worked out that way, so fine with me. The same is almost true for the arms as well, other than the fact that the thumbs on the hand go in different directions. That's the only difference. Thigh pieces, I snagged a couple of those Ben 10 connecty joints. I absolutely love those things, which they never get to see much play because immediately after The Ben 10 sets were a huge failure. Hero Factory came out, and that introduced CCBS as we know it today. But they had some good joint pieces in there that I feel like never really got used in any particular line. They would have been nice for Bionicle if that had been canceled, but c'est la vie. Okay. There's another foot. Yes, she is tall girl. Yes, she has heels. Much like myself. In some ways, this character is a representation of myself within the world of Bionicle. To very briefly dive back in the lore, part of which is the fact that she originally was not a Gamatoran, but a Komatoran, and her elemental affiliation actually changed during her Toa transformation. While we've never seen something like that in the canon before, none of this is canon, so who cares? There we go. I don't know if this is still technically an illegal building technique, putting a Technic beam on top of regular system brick studs. Shout at me in the comments if it is, but I'm pretty sure they've started doing it in official sets, so if that's the case, I guess I'll just head to the curve. And to finish it all off, the big chonky CCBS armor plates. I was so sad they didn't make it in blue that I went and got the blue paint for these. Which, if I haven't already, I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen right now so that you can find this. And if you have any parts that you want to paint, it's not exactly Lego blue, but it's so incredibly close that it might as well be. Certainly good enough for my purposes. So, there we go. And she has legs. Hooray! Onto the arms. Let's see, we're going to need... You may not be able to tell, but these are painted as well. Black. Normally they come in brown. This is a length 3 axle with a little cap on the end. Would have been nice if they'd made it in a more common color, but if they're not going to do it, I'll do it myself. Surprisingly, these were one of the hardest parts to find for this MOC. Especially since I needed 4, and they were up to $2 a piece. That was unfun. These ball joints with the short Technic beam, I also painted black. Normally they only come in, I think, orange and dark bluish gray. And frankly, dark bluish gray is very overplayed in Bionicle. It doesn't fit with my color scheme. That's why I'm using black axles and blue pegs. Because ultimately, I don't want to stick to convention. I want to stick to whatever colors work best. And if it means that, at worst case scenario, I'm going to bust out the spray paint, by gosh, I'm going to bust out that spray paint. There we go. Upper arm is done. So this is going to be her left arm. That one has no weapon hold. Here's the easy part. 2 parts. It's funny, CCBS wasn't really a thing back when I was still heavy into the Bionicle fandom. G1 fan for life. I didn't realize G2 was happening until it was well underway, and I have not been interested in a while. But a lot of those pieces look really good, and I like them, and I like trying to integrate them into the rest of them. Here's the fun part. I suppose I could have given her not quite as chunky fingers, but I feel like they're more animated. I like it like that. Also, right here is the like the Western minifig revolver. Fan of that because it gives me just the right angle for her thumb. And I didn't know it came in black, but once I found that out, I had to have it. And I think it fits very well here. So there we go. One arm done. Time for the next one, which is going to be exactly the same, besides mirror image of the hand. So we're just going to build this looking exactly the same. We'll go over when we get to the end. I will admit, for anyone watching at home who takes some amount of inspiration from this, I feel like this particular Toa chassis, I guess you could say, has a lot of possibility for modification and personalization. There's a lot you can do here, especially since it's a blend of so many different systems and so many different parts of the LEGO system. So many different types of parts all together here. So I feel like you could push this further than something like a Mata build or a Metro build or an Anika build. So I would actively encourage people to copy and or tweak this design just because I'm interested to see what everyone comes up with. Arm numero dos. Time for the other hand. I'm getting close to the end here. We've just got her toa weapon and her head left. How exciting. Thumb down here to give it a bit more space because her weapon is going to attach on in a slightly unique way. Alright. This one's fun because I actually get to use the I believe the Ahahaha spear. You almost never get to see the Anika weapons in mocks, which is a real shame because they all look really cool. It's just that they, you know, they're a bit bulky and with the glowy thing in the way, they're a little awkward to work with. And on a standard Toa size mock, I don't think they look great most of the time, but I've scaled up a bit, which helps me out and gives me a few more options here. So this is what I was looking for. This is effectively just being used as a 1.5 length stopper axle. This is how it's going to connect onto the hand. Do I have that right? Yes, there we go. then it comes from the back side and connects up. So it's more like she's actually legitimately holding it rather than it being sort of like just protruding from her arm stump the way that it is on a lot of other mods. And limbs ahoy! Go ahead and get her hand down here. Or so. This part's pretty straightforward. Time for the head. Another one I painted black. Didn't really need to because you barely get to see it, but I thought it was a nice touch. I very purposely went out of my way to, except on the staff, have no dark gray, dark bluish gray. It's very cliched. I've seen it a million times. It doesn't typically fit with the color scheme. Away from that. So anything on the main body of her build that was in that dark gray, I made sure to get in a different color if I could. Oh, and it looks good with blue eyes. But you're not going to see him for long because she's got a white Mari visor. This comes partially from the fact that she was drawn in advance and had like solid white lens eyes on her Kanohi mask. So this is actually compatible with the Mari visor. And here it is. My own personal Kanohi Kakama. Great Mask of Speed. This particular model, again, was the one made by Toatom. You can find it on Shapeways. I've got this one painted in my blue, as well as one in metal steel silver gray, which I absolutely love. They both came out incredibly. And, like I said, is a Mari Kakama, which means it fits the visor. And with that, Toa Saril is complete. So that's all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed watching. If you have specific questions about my character and her lore or backstory, if you have questions about the specific construction of this model, or you just want to say hi, feel free to leave a comment. And I will talk to you later. Good night, everyone.